I love going into other cultures and just being, I guess, submersed into like a new environment.
I'll have a first-hand visualization of how they live out their life philosophy. Everybody has a life philosophy, especially in a different country, one that is very different from my own. Just an understanding of their way of life. Being in that situation, being in another person's living spaces, and it was just a very humbling experience. Number one, it just showed me how gracious other people can be and are, even though most of the time we get a glimpse in this country that people aren't that way. And it is refreshing to be in that kind of an atmosphere. I'm looking forward to meeting strangers, complete strangers I've never met, and yet living with them. I think that's going to be a very beneficial experience.
I know a lot of Americans probably go overseas and they're just not culturally sensitive, and so it's just, I think it's key to be just aware of your surroundings and so you're not like offending people. Because I know for me, if someone came over to America, I might be a little bit more understanding if people were kind of like invading my space, and because I've been on the other end, you know, and so if we had Indians coming over and staying, you know, at my house, or, you know, coming to work and observing what I'm doing and interacting with us, you know, I'd want them to feel comfortable and I want them to enjoy their stay, so it goes both ways.
My little brother, when he heard that I was going on this trip, he was like, "Why are you going?" And I'm like, "Why not?" And he's like, "You could die." And I'm like, I could die here, and it would basically be the same. I mean, it's just, it's another opportunity. And you can't let that kind of a fear, to an extent, obviously. I mean, you're not going to go into an all-out war zone on a trip like this. They wouldn't really permit that. But safety first.
I'm a little nervous about sticking out just because I kind of had a bad experience in the past when I was overseas. I was in Malaysia for about 3 months, and I kind of had an issue where because I was white, because I was an American, because I was a female, I stuck out and I kind of got a lot of negative attention. So I am kind of nervous just in huge public settings, you know, how we're going to be looked at as females traveling and just getting a lot of like attention, unwanted attention, and, you know, the catcalls, the sneers and all that stuff or whatever. You know, you never know what you're gonna run into. So I'm a little nervous about that, but, you know, I'm not as, I guess, afraid or fearful as I was in the past, just because I think God's really given me a peace about it, about going this time. I had a couple just different instances where I guess fear gripped me a little bit about traveling again to another country and just thinking, oh, am I going to have so much negative attention where it's going to take away from my experience and from the trip, what God wants to do in my life over there. But He's in control of like the uncertain, you know, moments and stuff. So I'm really excited to go over, and I really don't have, a reservation to go over. I'm definitely more open to just whatever comes at me.
A lot of the things that transpired for this course I didn't know were happening, and not saying that I regret signing up for the course. I just kind of took a step of faith in saying, okay, God, I'm going to go on this trip regardless of what it entails, to an extent. Like, I knew some things. I knew we were going to, I knew what country we were going to, I knew how many people were going, I knew what exactly we were doing. I just didn't know the specifics, like where exactly in the country. And upon learning these things, I was not hesitant, not reluctant, but again, I have to brace myself. I have to prepare myself for what I wasn't really thinking that it was a sure thing that was going to happen. But I'm getting to the point where I'm excited about it. I'm not really scared or worried about it. I've never been outside of the United States, so I'm expecting to stick out even more so than I do in my own country, being a tall guy.
I know that when I experienced Tapusan in Malaysia, which is a huge Hindu festival where it's very demonic. That shook me up. That shook me to my core because I never really experienced, I guess, the supernatural in that way before. Physically, just visually seeing people being possessed and, you know, like moaning and flopping around on the floor and stuff. So I was wondering if that's going to be something that we encounter when we are in India. I think I'm more prepared for it now just because I have experienced it in the past.
A lot of people in America just take a lot for granted, I know I do. To really become grateful for what I do have here, I think it's necessary for me to see what is lacking elsewhere in the world.
हम तमिलनाडु से आया, तमिलनाडु से यहाँ का 30 साल होगा, 30 साल होने के बाद इधर आकर यह जगह पकड़ कर 18 साल 20 साल पूरा हो जाएगी.
So many people have forgotten about them, and if you can just at least be a presence to physically be there to hug on them, to love on them, to just tangibly show Jesus' love, then that's something that I want to be a part of.
Goodbye.
My biggest expectation for going to another country is just to get, number one, get a big, different perspective on just how other people live and view life and society.
Drink water.
I'm really looking forward to, I guess you can't really assimilate yourself to the culture in 2.5 weeks, but just eating the food, sitting down with people, you know, perhaps dressing like them, just being like side by side next to a person. I just love the fact that I can bond in fellowship and just engage in relationships with people of different cultures. So I'm just really excited to just meet the people and just to experience daily life the way they do. So.
You know, it's one of those things where you can't capture it. You know?
Yeah, you can't.
You just.
But I just like the group shot.
Yeah,
Like.
the group shot's great.
I think it's always a hard question to explore when people are talking about whether or not short-term mission trips are effective. And I know on my part, just even going away to like summer camp, you know, like as a kid, like I had amazing encounters with God, you know, in just like a short span of time.
I keep waking up every morning and it's like 3 years of being here at Nyack College and hearing, oh, go on a missions trip, go abroad, go do this, go do that, serve in some way. You can serve downtown Nyack, you can serve. And finally I'm doing something about it. I'm actually going to where a lot of other people can't go. I haven't met one person who's been overseas in an opportunity like this that came back and was like, yeah, I didn't learn anything, it was a complete waste of my time. They got something out of it, and I'm going with the mindset of, I want to get something out of it. I'm going to look for opportunities of getting something out of it. And also to give. It will definitely shatter what I know is the world around me.